Following the critical disappointment of the 1998 American Godzilla film, Toho immediately revived the franchise in an attempt to capitalize on audience demand. Hoping to return Godzilla to his roots and remind fans of what made the monster special, the studio brought on a couple veterans of the Heisei series to craft a new story that tried some new things while remaining faithful to the formula that had made the series so popular. And so along with the dawn of a new millennia came the beginning of the next era of Godzilla, appropriately titled Godzilla 2000 Millennium. With Godzilla a constant threat to Japan, the Godzilla Prediction Network, an independent organization run by Yuji Shinoda and his precocious daughter Io, exists to study and contain the destruction in his wake. On the opposite end is Crisis Control Intelligence, an agency run by Shinoda's rival Mitsuo Katagiri that seeks to kill Godzilla at all cost. As Godzilla seeks sources of power in Japan, CCI uncovers a massive meteorite deep in the ocean, which springs to life, revealing itself to be a vessel from outer space. The UFO begins showing unusual interest in Godzilla's DNA, leaving Shinoda and the others to uncover the mystery of its intentions, while the King of the Monsters takes the fight to this unusual life form. Within its opening minutes, Godzilla 2000 feels like a direct response to the much maligned 1998 American Godzilla film. It is very atmospheric, drawing out Godzilla's appearance from the ground level in such a way that feels like a breath of fresh air, as if to remind the audience of who the true Godzilla really is. From there, the film tells a familiar story in an unfamiliar way, a story of mysterious visitors from outer space, and of two rival organizations with opposing views on how to deal with Godzilla. Monster fights, military engagements, and quirky characters are all here in full force. And while the results are rather mixed, G-fans who felt spurned by the American film no doubt felt right at home. Indeed, Godzilla 2000 is the equivalent of a warm blanket, a film that does everything just right enough so as to satisfy fans without truly excelling or being especially memorable. In many ways, it feels like a contradiction, a film that takes a lot of risks while also sticking to formula. It's admirable in some areas, implementing new storytelling and special effects techniques that weren't possible even just a few years earlier, but oftentimes it bites off more than it can chew, displaying obvious technical and narrative flaws that makes for a pretty rough viewing experience. Godzilla 2000 most benefits from a really solid cast of characters and clever concepts. The Godzilla Prediction Network is a fun idea, and Yuji and Io Shinoda, played by Takehiro Murata and Mayu Suzuki, are good protagonists, displaying levels of intelligence and tenacity that endear you to them quickly. Faring a little less better is Naomi Nishida as Yuki Ichinose, a reporter who begrudgingly tags along with Shinoda. While her attitude irritates at first, you warm to her as she begins to warm towards Shinoda. Sano plays Shiro Miyasaka, a scientist torn between his work for CCI and his loyalty to his friend. But the character who makes the biggest impact is Hiroshi Abe as Mitsuo Katagiri. His dashing looks and stone-cold stare make quite a strong impression, and the battle of philosophies he has with Shinoda on how to deal with Godzilla makes for some interesting dynamics between the two. The film is also the first to go a bit into the science of Godzilla and explore what makes him invincible, revealing his regenerative abilities. It's the film's most fascinating subplot, so much so that you almost wish it was focused on more than the UFO, which isn't the most interesting villain, only becoming so when it transforms into Orga, one of the more bizarre monsters Toho has ever created. With his comically large claws and crooked teeth, it's at once both pathetic and unnerving. Godzilla's new design is great, sleek and sharp and threatening while eliminating much of the bulkiness of the Heisei design, but his unblinking expression makes him feel a bit lifeless at times, especially compared to the previous films. The battle between the two is a decent monster brawl, but suffers from some pacing issues, feeling rather slow and monotonous at times. On the technical side of things, Godzilla 2000 is also a mixed bag. In an attempt to be more modern, the filmmakers experimented with some new special effects techniques, and the results vary. The film makes extensive use of CGI and green screen, and most of it is terrible and poorly implemented, which is in stark contrast to the traditional suitmation and model work, nearly all of which is exceptional. Takayuki Hattori lends his musical talents once again, and like his work on Space Godzilla, his score complements the human drama well while being a bit bland on the action front. Godzilla 2000 is a film caught between two different eras. It plays it safe while taking risks, and the result is a film that feels like it was trying to keep up with the standards of modern Hollywood filmmaking while also staying faithful to the techniques of the past, a critique and response to everything that was perceived to have gone wrong with the '98 film. It has some interesting twists and turns, and it's populated by a great cast of characters, but the story is rather forgettable, and the special effects vary wildly in quality to the point where it distracts. It's a middle-of-the-road Godzilla flick, but not an especially remarkable start to the Millennium series. For more reviews and opinions on all things Godzilla, subscribe and stay tuned to Up From the Depths.